Miami Heat, 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 Miami Heat. It feel like Miami.
Welcome to the Miami Heat Beat podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today for our 13th consecutive season podcast opener, Coach Lou.
What's up, everybody? We're in our BAM year. You heard it here first.
13 years. This is our 13th season of Miami Heat Beat. Excited to share with all you guys. Can't believe we made it this far. To our haters, fuck you. To our loyal listeners, continue to support. We love you. What a big day. Season starts tomorrow. We're recording on a beautiful Tuesday evening here in Miami, October 21st. Their season starts tomorrow. In Orlando against the Magic. I feel like we've played the Magic 15 times in the last week. And we will cover you tomorrow with what I am very excited to share. As we talked about last show, Hangover Time is coming back. The show you all love, Hangover Time, hosted by Alphonse Sidney, produced by Brass Jazz. Your favorite Miami Heat Beat panelists are going to come with you live to recap Miami Heat versus Orlando Magic. And we're going to do so while raising money for charity. Hangover Time is coming back for only one night. Just one night. It's only tomorrow night. And Hot is raising money for breast cancer. Alf's wife is a breast cancer survivor. Just got surgery, and they're doing a victory lap by trying to raise money and help others so that other daughters can keep their mothers, husbands can keep their wives, parents can keep their daughters, all that beautiful stuff. So make sure to tune in. We have the donation link, is on our Twitter page. You know, it's all over there. So just go on at twitter.com/MIA Heatbeat, at Miami Heatbeat, at MIA Heatbeat on Twitter. To find that donation link and help support, as always, what is a beautiful cause that we try to do. So today, Lou and I are going to be kind of going through the expectations of the team. I think that there's a lot, we have talked a lot about what we want from the team. I think we're all on the same page. We want a tank. We want this. We've all made it very clear over the offseason what we wanted. We want to talk about what we expect, because I think those are two different things.
100% agree. Like whether I don't know how people will feel about this season, but we have to temper expectations on both sides, like on both sides of the spectrum. We have people that apparently the media is saying, fake news, whatever, but they're saying that the Heat might be back this year. And then we have other people in the media like Kevin O'Connor, which, by the way, fuck him. I hate that guy. But has the Heat ranked the third worst team in the East. And, we're here to tell you, that we don't know what's going to happen either.
I mean,
God knows
right.
the team. Yeah, at this point,
it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, Lou, because I think some people in the national media are kind of bullish on the Heat, right? I think that they're a little kind of overly ambitious about what they can accomplish, and other people like us, like KOC, they're kind of like, no, this team is trash, and I think it's kind of a weird. I think it's kind of like dichotomy. Like nobody can really agree on them. Where I think we have a lot of data to kind of have a good idea of where they're going to be this season. Now, part of that is kind of the vacuum in the East. And if you want, take a listen to our last podcast with Scotty Drippin, where Alf, Tiff, Scotty Drippin, and I, we kind of all go through our kind of playoff play-in and contenders in the East. So kind of take a look at that. But you got to see there's certainly a vacuum. But teams like Atlanta, like Detroit, like Orlando, obviously New York, Milwaukee, Cleveland, those teams are all certainly better. And then you're just in a tier with what the scraps of the Boston Celtics.
Charlotte's gotten better too. Like
I don't think Charlotte, Miami, Chicago, kind of in those dredges. Yeah. Like Chad said, Zach No, ball knower has us high, and that makes me miserable. Like I said, KOC has a slow, I have a slow. So we're not going to talk about some of that. We're not going to talk about what we want, but we're going to talk about what we think is going to happen and what the process is going to look like on both ends. And Lou, I think that we got to start with the starting lineup because that's been a kind of a hot topic. And I do think that's going to color a lot of this team tactically. Whether they're going to go two bigs, whether they're not, is Davion Mitchell going to start? I don't know. Lou, we can't agree on one thing. There's two starters in pen. We can say three, but two starters in pen and one in very dark pencil. Where Bam and Tyler are going to be starters no matter what. There's no universe this season unless there's some catastrophic injury and one of them is returning and on the minutes regulation or whatever. At some point, whenever those guys are healthy, those two guys are going to be starting. We are in agreement?
Yeah, 100%. If once Tyler is healthy, he is starting.
I think
Bam is obviously starting.
I think Andrew Wiggins is probably going to be starting.
Yeah, that would be the very dark pencil.
That'd be the very dark pencil. Whether we agree with it or not is not important. I know that I could say I don't agree with that. And Lou, I think you also don't agree with that.
I don't agree with him being on the team, but
I was like, that's a loaded question. So those three are in pencil. That leaves us with Norman Powell, Davion Mitchell, Khalil Ware, and Niko Jovic. I think fair to kind of fight for the last two spots. One of them, and Drew Smith, because you never know.
You never know.
Because you never know with Spo. I would think Norm Powell gets one of the spots, given how well he's been.
I believe so. I think he deserves to start. I think he should be starting. Honestly, I am so happy that we have Norman Powell on this team. It like you couldn't tell from my facial expressions, but boy, do I actually genuinely. I really, really do like Norman Powell. I think he's going to do a lot of good for this team. I was pleasantly surprised. He was a very good play finisher for the Clippers, but during this preseason, we put a lot more on his plate in terms of, making him operate pick and rolls, making him come off of double drags and actually facilitate. And he has been hitting the weak side corner. Like he's been doing a lot of playmaking stuff, and he just has a very good internal timer. I wish he can pass that down to Andrew Wiggins on when to get off the ball because he just keeps the ball moving, and it feels like the offense with him doesn't stagnate. And even if he doesn't pass the ball, he has direction and so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need him to pass the ball every time. Like, we need somebody to score, especially with Tyler out. But that's Norman Powell's role, is to score first. But I am pleasantly surprised that he is able to teeter that balance of not trying to do too much in terms of getting his own basket and actually keeping the ball moving. That's been it's tough to find guys who actually know that balance, and he's one of those guys. So I'm in agreement, G. I think it should be Tyler him starting in the backcourt. You close your eyes and you pray for defense. It doesn't matter. I don't want to talk about defense with the Miami Heat anymore. I'm tired of talking about defense with the Miami Heat. They were damn near dead last year in offensive rating. Like
we're gonna get into that stuff, but so we agree. Bam is the starting center,
100%,
or starting front court, whatever. I don't want to litigate that with you people. Bam is one of the starting front court players.
Correct.
Tyler Hero is one of the starting backcourt players.
100%.
Norman Powell and Andrew Wiggins. Norman Powell can play wing or he could play backcourt. Andrew Wiggins is a front court player. So two of the front court spots are taken with Bam and Wiggins. Tyler's there, and that makes the last spot interesting. Is it Davion Mitchell? And now Andrew Wiggins is your power forward? Is it Niko Jovic? So you have a more kind of natural power forward size. Are you starting Khalil Ware when it comes down to it, and you run back the two big lineups, right? So now you have the two Bam and Ware as your two center monster, with Wiggins as the third front court player, and then Norman Powell as your shooting guard and Tyler as your pseudo point guard. That's the thing is that their theoretical best four players line up that way. And their fifth best player, is he a 4? Is he a not? Is it Davion Mitchell? Now, I think Davion's the kind of guy that makes it interesting because the real kind of candidates here are Davion Mitchell, Nico, and Khalil. And all three of those guys send the team into a different direction, Lou.
100%.
So that's kind of the tricky thing with what's going on. I don't think it's going to be Khalil Ware, given what we saw in the preseason and given what Spo said. I think from an expectation and prediction perspective, we can throw out Ware, which leaves Nico and Davion.
Really? I don't know. I would just say I would disagree from an expectation standpoint because I very clearly remember the Heat not starting Kendrick Nunn whatsoever and Duncan Robinson whatsoever. And then regular season comes around and they're both in the starting lineup. So like truly, I don't think anybody has a firm, with 100% conviction can state what Spo is going to do. What I do believe is going to happen and what I expect to happen is I do expect Nico to get the first look, at least considering Ware was on the injury report with the sprained ankle and some neck spasms. I think that for the short term, that's going to be the situation that they're going to be placed in. Long term, I'm curious to see if the Heat would even consider benching Wiggins, maybe if Norman is doing good, or moving Norm to the bench. Like I don't know. I would love for the Heat to come. Like I don't want them to be teeter-tottering their lineups as much as they have been in the past. I would like for them to get with start the game off strong with the lineup that works and kind of just stick with it.
Shout out to Leches commissioner who, with the 44, love you, appreciate you, says I'm 100%. I with 100% conviction can say Spo is going to start an oversized 1 and an undersized 2.
Yeah. Seems about Spo.
The possibility of Drew Smith starting is not likely, but it's never zero.
No, it is not zero. It is by far not zero.
I think, I know that you said that, and I think Ware's going to get some starts. I think ultimately it's going to be Nico. And I saw Jay in chat said that. I think it's going to be Nico. I think they just gave him an extension. They're paying him, I think, and Lou, I know you haven't been on to talk about that, but I think they're paying him a really good rate that's fair for the team and for Nico. And
an incredible salary. Like
I think it's a steal. And we talked about this at the time. Yeah, just a real savvy move from the front office for a guy that we like, and you keep him off his rookie extension. He'll be making $16 million next year. It's kind of a weird contract that goes down and then up.
But it's about 15.5 annually. And we literally yesterday just saw like 5 extensions handed out. Keegan is getting paid like $28 million a year. We saw Shaedon Sharp get 22.5 a year. Tumani Kamara get 21 a year. Like, and Nico is over 5 million annually under all these guys. Like, this is a slam dunk deal. Like 100%, you take this deal and you run with it. I do think
calling him Toucan Slam.
A Toucan Slam is this thing.
That's great. Can he do that? Can he say that?
I don't know. He is a Leches agenda commissioner. So. But I do think Nico is going to be the long-term starter, and I expect him to be. And for different reasons than what you're stating, G, I just don't think this team has if they start Bam and Khalil, I don't think they have a third big to throw into their rotation to eat up these center minutes. So they're going to consistently have to stagger them. I think it's a lot easier staggering their minutes off the bench personally. And I'm okay with that.
They'll play some together. Like, I think Ware is probably better than just Bam's backup. And I think they'll play together.
100% agree with that.
He'll spot start. I agree with that. And that's kind of something I hadn't considered because Precious Achiuwa just got cut by the team.
Who? Next.
Exactly. Who was the theoretical third center here, who now is not on the.
We have a gaping hole at the third big spot, so I fully expect them to just let Ware come off the bench, stagger some minutes with him and Bam. But like I put the statistics out, like everybody wants to, a lot of the agenda that's been pushed is Bam and Ware need to play together, and I agree with that. That is perfectly fine. Bam and Nico was better than Bam and Ware. And Nico and Ware was better than Bam and Ware. Like Nico has been the catalyst to all these positive lineups for them. So the best way to get him on the floor is you start him. You start him and you let him play with both of these guys. Between those two positions, there's going to be 96 minutes split up, and it should be like 35, 30, and 29. Like it should be something like that. My math wasn't good right there. 35, 31, and 30. Whatever, you get the point. They should all be playing around 30 minutes a game because that should be the direction this team is looking for.
Chat says we have a gaping hole at the third big spot. Is going to be the title of a book written about the Bam era.
Poor guy, man.
Poor guy.
Poor
dude.
guy.
Shout out to Miami Heat UK. Said my goats are back. Looking forward to tuning in with you guys all season. Congratulations on your 13 seasons of top tier coverage. Thank you for being the ultimate homie and all the great coverage you have done throughout the years, Dan. Hope to see you around. Hope you're in town and we can hang or see each other. You're the best, man. Lou, I think it's going to be Nico, and we haven't talked about Davion. In an ideal world, we move these lineups around, and Wiggins is not starting, and you put Powell at the 3. You kind of slide Davion in to the point guard spot, but that just kind of leaves them pretty vulnerable and small. Now, Miami does have kind of an urgency to play faster. And the way you can play faster is by playing a little smaller. I think that's too small. I think one thing is Jimmy at the 4. Another thing is Andrew Wiggins. And I think that's just a little, I think that's a little too much to ask.
And to your point, G, it's not just Wiggins at the 4. It's the fact that you have that
Powell
you would then
3.
have Tyler and Powell at the 2 and the 3. Like that's a little too small.
I agree.
And this is no shade to Davion. I think they paid Davion like bench money anyways. So like him being the first guy in or one of the first 2 guys in and being able to, inject some speed and some pace into the team off the bench would be greatly appreciated. We haven't had a point guard do that since Goran.
Or a guy, listen, I mean, not just that, but I mean, Tyler's going to miss time. I mean, last year was a remarkably healthy season for him. I think their guard rotation, I know that nobody likes Drew Smith. He's a solid guard. He's not, I think before he got hurt last year, he was playing pretty well. And they have a rookie in Kasparis, which we'll talk about him later. Whether or not kind of he's going to play in the G League or not is to be seen. But he looked pretty good in preseason. I will give him that. And I hope that they kind of give him some action. So we kind of settled on this, right? So the starting lineup, but we expect when everybody's healthy, Tyler Hero, Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Nikola Jovic, and Bam Adebayo.
Correct. That would be my betting favorite.
What do you think? What do you think that lineup ends up for the year net rating?
+1.
On paper, it's not a bad lineup.
I would say +2.5. How about that? That seems pretty reasonable.
Chat says -500.
-500, yeah. Honestly, it just comes down to can they guard. But like I said, G, I don't care about defense anymore. I'm tired of defense.
You just want a watchable offense.
Spo will figure out a scheme defensively for us to be top 10. Like, I have no doubt in my mind.
Were they top 10 last year?
They were 9th. Crazy.
So fucking funny, dude.
And last year, how many positive defensive players did we have? It was just Bam for damn near the whole season. We had
Bam,
Highsmith,
Jimmy when he played, Davion when he played.
Jimmy played 30 games. I'm not counting Jimmy. He barely played defense anyway.
What 30 games it was?
It was Highsmith, the 15 games of Drew Smith, and Bam Adebayo.
By the way,
the 25 games of Davion Mitchell.
Those other guys are gone.
And those guys are gone. But even still, like, I don't know. I trust.
Saw what Jimmy said, by the way. What do you mean?
Tell the people. I haven't.
Are you unfamiliar?
I am unfamiliar with what Jimmy said.
Okay, so Jimmy Butler, I still love Jimmy. I do. But Jimmy Butler kind of had some things to say about the organization, which I thought were interesting. He pretty much said, I'm happy to be with the Warriors. I am happy to not be a part of a dysfunctional organization with hidden agendas. And the hidden agendas comment is what sticks out to me, right? I mean, calling them dysfunctional is insane, but
I,
Um, go ahead, Lou.
I don't think it's insane, but okay.
I mean, I think of LeBron James saying smiley faces with hidden agenda.
Yeah. Jimmy is definitely prolonging this, but I think he's in his right to call them dysfunctional. I don't think that they were the most functioning organization for the last 3 seasons. I mean, I've widely talked about that throughout the podcast for feels like 100 episodes now, because I mean, they deserve some blame. Um, the hidden agendas thing, I don't know. He probably knows more than we do. He's probably just gaslighting anyways, like, because he knows he's going to get attention.
I have the full quote
Ultimately,
here.
Mhm.
I have the full quote. Jimmy Butler says all the chaos in Miami last season has paid off, and he's glad to be a part of an organization with no hidden agendas. Quote, all that noise, all that chaos paid off in a major way. I'm lucky to be a part of this phenomenal organization. Everywhere starts off great, and then someone has to be the bad guy, and it gets to be me. I'm always the one that's doing something unbearable all of a sudden, but that's okay. I get to play in this wonderful league with amazing teammates. But being here, they've only got one goal: to keep hanging those things up on the wall. Ain't no hidden agendas. I think that was
Gee, that's exactly what he said when we got him from Philly. Like, this is what Jimmy Butler does. Who cares? We knew this was going to happen. Like, push it off to the side. If
it's
the
not
Heat are
nice when
worrying
your
about,
ex says that though. You always think that you're different.
ain't nobody different, G.
You always think you're different. You always think that you are the different one.
Yeah. The
That's
Heat
all.
thought they were different too, and they're not. So they're so different that they pushed back their 2026 plans to 2027.
Chat did mention this, and I guess it bears reminder. Considering we're doing a pod kind of previewing the season, Khalil Ware did sprain his ankle. He's questionable tomorrow. It's been reported by the Miami Herald.
And Kasparis is also out. So those are the
Yeah.
two, along with Tyler. Obviously, we knew
Obviously
Tyler wasn't going to be.
I will see if Ware plays tomorrow. Just kind of want to give that note for anybody who's not kind
I
of
hope he
keyed
does.
into Heat current events. But yeah, Khalil Ware got hurt in practice. They're practicing too hard again. Spo loves it. Spo loves the physicality. But
we need to see a Miami Heat coaches versus media.
I don't want any of that smoke. I don't want.
I need to see. I
don't want what Karan Butler has for me.
Somebody posting. Let's just say Ira would be the greatest point of attack defender.
He's a dog, man. Have you been in with the media scrum? That's a dog.
I've seen him in person.
But he's built different.
We think Davion is a point of attack defender. Did he have one in their media? Ira's the GOAT.
Chess is dysfunctional isn't the right word. More like delusional.
100% delusional.
Don't disagree. So I think that kind of it gives a nice bookend to kind of the starters and stuff like that. And we can kind of get into like what we think they're going to play like. Lou, let's start with the defense. I know you didn't want to talk about defense, but we'll be very brief. Brief. I think an interesting question. Nikas and I were talking about this. Are they going to deploy more drop? More switching, excuse me. Are they going to deploy more switching in their defense? You know that they've been in drop lately. I actually don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to go back to their switching, and I think they're going to kind of see where their point of attack gets them this year. Because in theory, your point guard rotation is going to be, obviously Tyler Hero, but your real point guard rotation is going to be Drew Smith or Davion Mitchell. Both those guys, great on the ball. I'm sure both those guys will play at 2 guard, or they'll move Tyler to 2 guard, and those guys will get in the game. Those guys are going to get minutes on this team for the year, and those are plus defenders. You're going to have Bam, who's a plus defender. You have Andrew Wiggins, who in theory is a plus defender. Norman Powell, who's certainly not a minus defender. And I think they're going to try to see and Nico, who's played really well. I think they're going to try to see what they can do in a drop. I think they're going to try to see how their point of attack defenders can kind of help and manage. Miami doesn't drop very deep. They drop pretty high. They do try to contain dribbles. They try to kind of make sure that the guy at the nail helps. They try to make sure that people are moving and their hands in the lane and stuff like that. When teams drop back and stuff like that. So I do think that they're going to see with real point of attack defenders without a bunch of targets on defense. Like I love Duncan Robinson, but was a target on defense. Tyler's still going to be a target on defense, but at least you're not playing both of them at the same time. I don't think Rozier is going to play a ton of minutes for this team. So he's yet another guy who's not a target on defense. So I actually think that they are going to be able to really see if the drop works with good point of attack defenders. I think the drop, Lou, was in part to protect some of those guys. And I think it did work. I think the switching kind of really wore on them through the season, and those guys were just getting absolutely hammered. And I think the league has gone a little bigger. And I think the issue with the switching was your matchups got all messed up. And then at the back end of your defense, you're giving up a lot of offensive rebounds and
Correct.
just guys that roll to the basket. And then the help man is small. So I think a couple of things have changed, and Miami has been playing kind of more 6'10" guys alongside Bam. All that stuff to say, I think they're going to continue to drop. I also don't think that they trust Nico switching.
So I think they're gonna be playing a drop 100%, more maybe than they did last year. For mostly for the same reasons you stated. I just think we know what works in the playoffs is when they switch, and that's kind of the difficult thing. But you need to try to get as many reps, and like you need to try to make the drop work too. Like it because it's not that it's not effective. It's just like the ultimate card up their sleeve is you just throw Bam in at the 5 and you switch because that works. We've known that works, but I think it's a different layer. Knowing that you're consistently in drop, it helps out with your defensive rebounding, and ultimately, I do think that there's going to be some switching, but mostly 1-5 pick and rolls are going to be in drop coverage or whatever else. Unless it's probably Bam and Nico out there, I think they'll probably switch those guys a little bit more if that's the double big. But if Ware's in the game, they're 100% playing drop coverage.
No, Ware for sure. I think, and then again, they'll switch guard stuff. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. It's more so the bigs, like
they'll
the small
switch wing
bigs
guard stuff. Yeah. And I think it really gets interesting when it's wing big, right? Like I think if it's Kawhi Leonard, Zubac pick and roll.
I think there's going to be some like the defensive assignments are going to be all over the place. I'm pretty sure they're going to switch Bam out. Especially if Kalau's in the game, like him and Wiggins are probably going to switch. Even if Kalau isn't in the game, him and Wiggins are still probably going to switch. It would just depend who's on ball and where the screen is coming from. It's going to be a lot more nuanced than just like, are they? But ultimately, I do think that they're going to be running drop. And I think that's good for the development of the team in terms of just like, if you want to get out and run, you need to get rebounds first.
I
So
agree.
like, if you want to push pace, you need to grab rebounds. And that's the best way to grab rebounds by having your biggest guys near the rim. Like, it doesn't do much for you if Bam is switching out and you have nobody else underneath the rim and he's getting a stop on a pull-up jump shot, but you're giving up an offensive rebound and a putback. Like that does nothing for your defensive schematics.
I think also in terms of that, like they're not gonna. I don't view them as a team that's gonna force a lot of turnovers, which is the other way to kind of pick up pace, right? And I think that when you play kind of an aggressive switch defense, I think one of the things you're trying to do is create turnovers. And I don't think they have the defenders for that right now. I think they have solid defenders that can kind of guard their yard. I don't think they have kind of like playmakers on defense. And I think one of the things you lose with Jimmy, not only is that, but when you do switch a guy that can guard up, right, that can force a turnover off, like to give the example, like Kawhi Zubac pick and roll. If that's Bam and Wiggins, if Jimmy switches onto Zubac, I think you feel pretty good if you're the Heat that he can hold space, try to force a turnover or force him to make a move so that somebody else can kind of help and force a turnover because he's going to be aggressive and kind of make those plays. With Wiggins, I just look at a toothpick. Not that he's a bad defender, but I just think that that's just not, he's not strong in that way to kind of help. I mean, we saw Jimmy switch on to Jokic, or we saw Jimmy switch on to Anthony Davis in the finals. That was without Bam, right? Kind of, Myers Leonard is on him and Jimmy's switching onto him and helping and doing all sorts of stuff. And they don't have that kind of wing defender. And I think that's like kind of where it gets interesting, especially when it's kind of like wing big pick and roll. Like that's the real test. And I do think that they'll ultimately go to drop. Now they may switch and overload to kind of and to give Bam a shot, but ultimately I think they will drop.
Yeah, we're in agreement.
Yeah, and I think for the guards, I think it's going to be important that they fight over. I think that they have to really kind of give their bigs a shot. And I think one of the things that you say about like, their shot profile has always been, we're going to try to not allow things at the rim. And we're going to be aggressive in kind of shutting off that water, which means that they do overhelp, right? There is a lot of help when you get in the lane. there are a lot of hands. There is a lot of weak side rotation. I don't see that changing. I can see. I think ultimately what you want is to be able to contain dribbles more so that those passes aren't available, but they will always shade. They're always going to have a foot in the lane ready to help.
Yeah. They're always going to play like in the gaps. They're never going to be a player your defense.
They're not going to defend like Boston where everybody's out on the perimeter. Like we're not moving from this guy. Like you're not, that's not how they are.
No, they're gonna play defense with all 5 guys.
Yeah.
That's the way Spo likes to do it. So
yeah. So I think that's like kind of, I think their defense is probably the least interesting thing in the season. I actually think it's going to be better this year. Kind of funny enough, even though we said that they lost Highsmith and those guys, I just think that like
I think their point of attack has gotten better. G, like I mean, you mentioned it. You mentioned obviously like getting Davion for a full season is important. If Drew Smith stays healthy, that's obviously going to help. But I think also like getting Kaz and Kaz showing what he's done in the summer league and in the preseason defensively on ball, like that's better than anything we had like last year. That's better than most of the things we had on ball last year. Considering like if just automatically deducting Rozier's minutes automatically improves.
And Rozier will play some. I just don't think it'll be a lot.
He can play when we're down 20.
I think his minutes will depend a lot on how their offense looks. And I think if they're really good on offense or passable on offense without him,
then he's not playing.
Yeah,
so for our sake, I hope the offense is good.
It's passable, yeah. So I think that's kind of where we're at defensively. I think it'd be better with Haywood Highsmith. I think Norman Powell, that's the biggest question mark, I think, defensively for them. Not that he's a bad defender, but he's going to be doing a lot more on offense than he's used to. And I think that we tend to see that suffers on the other end. So it's going to be an interesting thing to see how that plays out. And I think Wiggins as well. Like, I think I want to see Wiggins get back to being not just a plus defender, but a plus defender.
Lech's agenda said he can play when we're down 20 is a lot of minutes. You might be right, Lech's. I might have to put it up to 25, 30.
I see some people requesting predictions. We're actually going to do lot of those later.
We're going, guys. We're going.
Let's talk about their offense. Lou, kind of where we think their process is going to be. We got to start with the pace. Their pace in the preseason was about 106, which is pretty good. And last season, their pace was 97. That's almost a 10. That's a huge gap.
That's a 9 possession. And just like they're not playing 106 possessions a game in the regular season. The team that ran the most last year ran like 103, 104.
It was 104. The Memphis Grizzlies were at 104.
Yep. The Heat are not doing that, guys. The Heat are not.
I want you to know that last year the Heat, the Orlando Magic were the worst paced team. They were at 96 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And Memphis was at 104. Right. So that's what 7 possession. Yeah. So that was between first and last, that gap. So Miami going from 97 to 106, that's not super sustainable. I mean, that's a 100%. Huge gap. That wasn't even like between that would be you go from the slowest team in the league to the absolute fastest and then some. I don't think that's going to happen, but certainly there is some urgency to play quicker. Mm-hmm. And that held all preseason that we got that number. And I think that is what matters.
Yeah. I think I had put like some questions in the show notes.
In preseason pace. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. They were 27th in pace last year. So they were the fourth slowest team. I had put in the show notes, like, do you think that they can make it to like 21, 22, like top 20 in pace? I don't think so, G. I'm sorry. I hope so.
I think they'll get to like 18 to 15. I think they'll get to.
You see, I wish I was as bullish as you are. I wish they can make, top half of the league in pace. I think that would be super ideal. But ultimately, top half of the league in pace is about 100 possessions. You ask them to run 3 more possessions a game. That's a big jump typically. I hope they can get to that. Like, I really, really do. With the like
part of that is just not turning the ball over too. I think
Yeah, but even last year they were very good in turnover percentage. It's just more so like wanting to get out and run. Like they never want to do that. So I do
they
think
did
if
it this
Nico
preseason though. Like they did do it. They
did it last preseason too. And I don't care about the preseason.
But this year it was an emphasis that they all talked about. Last year it wasn't like that.
Last year was the same thing. I remember it clear as day. They just kept yapping about the preseason and their pace numbers and this and that. And at the end of the day, ultimately, it like last year they ran 103.5 possessions a game in the preseason. They were running too, a little bit slower, but ultimately they were still running. I wish we can get this to, for them to be top 15 in pace. Ultimately, they're not going to be good anyways. Might as well get more possessions at it. Like that's the way I'm
Let me
viewing it.
give you the counter to that.
Mm-hmm.
And part of this might be Tyler Hero didn't play in the preseason. But I think Hero, Jimmy, and Bam together, they just genuinely run offense slow. Jimmy needs to work a possession. Tyler needs to work a possession. Bam needs to work a possession. I think I saw and Bam did not have the best offensive preseason. I understand. I did see him more at the elbows. And I think that if he's going to be more of an offense facilitator and kind of find his points as a roll man and not on ball the way that he's been the last few years, that's a lot of time that you get back. Norman Powell, as we talked about, is a snappy decision maker. And that just leaves Hero that whether him and Spo's commitment to being a little quicker, I think with those three things, you get to that number. And that's all I'm saying. I think that they've changed a lot. They seem to know this is not working. We need to try something new. Davion certainly likes to push the pace. Kasparis is a guy that I feel likes to push the pace. I think them not playing two bigs. I think not playing Ware and Bam together is also
going to help
sign.
your pace.
It's going to help. And people, and I got a lot of shit on Twitter for this because they're like, well, you can have two bigs and play fast. And like, Bam's a four. And I absolutely think you could play fast and have two bigs, right? I think you could have DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin and Chris Paul and play fast because those guys are athletic bigs that run, and you have a dynamic offense filled with shooters and very good and fast decision makers. That's not what the Heat have. Bam is not shooters. That. And
we don't have shooters to begin with.
They don't have that.
They don't have a lot of those things that Clippers comparison.
The way that, and they don't have enough ball handling and decisive ball handling. And the way that you can help make possessions faster is by adding ball handling and decision makers, right? So putting Nico in, who is going to be a connector to make passes. It's playing smaller like
not as much Bam, where a lot more Bam running the floor.
Because those big things, those big actions take some time. Because like if you're Drew Smith running an action and those two guys are in, like that's clunking up the space. They have to work. It has to be a roll into a reposition. And that's just not, it worked. It can't work. I'm not saying that that does not produce good offense. I just think that they need to play faster and run more and get down the court more because they don't have those ball handlers and decision makers at an elite level. So they have to play faster to force a mismatch, because when you do push the pace, what happens is you guys get funny cross matches. And Nico does really well against funny cross matches. Bam does really well against funny cross matches. Like Tyler does well against funny cross matches. That's how you play to their strengths.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my spiel. That's kind of my spiel on the pace and kind of like where they're going at. I saw Poltergeist ask predictions on the Heat offensive rating by the end of the season. So last season, so their offensive rating in the regular season last year, as we know, was pretty poor. Miami was 21st in offensive rating at 112. I think their pace will be higher. And I think, it's funny. The more I talk about it, the more I think the team's going to be better than it was last year. And I don't actually believe that. So I am getting caught in the Zach Lowe thing where I'm like, yeah, I think their pace will be better. And I was like, well, if their pace is better and this and that, I think their offense will be like around 18th to 16th, which is where I said their pace would be. And now I said their defense would be fine. So now I'm kind of getting in the point of like, are they a playing team and Are they maybe a fringe
Mm.
playoff team? And I see how you get caught in the sauce.
Oh, for sure. The sauce is there.
But
You're right.
they didn't win a preseason game and they looked awful.
Yeah, no. That's where the sauce lacks depth, lacks flavor, lacks spice. G. We don't have enough spice in the sauce. Our sauce is very plain, very basic.
I do think that their lack of shooting is going to be what ultimately like makes the offense unwatchable.
Yeah, and you know, to your point, you said we were 21st in offensive rating last year.
You don't have chances. You don't have the facilities for that, big man.
We don't. But you know, you stated that there were 112th offensive rating last year, which was 21st in the league, which is not particularly a great spot where you want to be at. And you know, ironically, without Jimmy Butler, because you know, I think that's ultimately what matters. They were 113 points per possession, so they were just about as roughly about the same. I don't know. It's just, do I think that they're going to be top 20 in offensive rating? Probably not, if I'm being honest. I do think there's a possibility. It just feels like they don't have enough guys who can get to the rim and get free throws that will help boost their offensive rating.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, they don't have
they don't have enough shooting that will help boost their offensive rating, and they don't have enough offensive rebounding that will help boost their offensive rating. So ultimately, I think their offensive rating is going to be closer to 111 than it is 114. You know, that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I hope that, you know, the way that they can counter that is playing fast. But we'll see. We'll see. Ultimately, I don't trust the shooting on this team. You need a lot of guys to take steps forward shooting wise. I think Kalel did a good job of that in the preseason. I think Nico has shown you he can shoot the ball. You know, can Bam continue to improve his shooting? Can Pella step up in his shooting? Can Jaime step up with his shooting? Can Davion continue his shooting? Who is Andrew Wiggins and what is he doing on the team? Can he continue to shoot? Is Norman Powell good enough to carry on all the load of the shooting? We're missing Duncan. Who is Simone Fontecchio? Why did we get that guy? Can he shoot the ball for us? Yeah, can he shoot the ball for us? Like, it's just a lot of questions. Is Drew Smith going to continue to shoot 47% from three like he did for us? Like, I don't know, and I don't believe that this team is going to be good enough shooting the ball where the offensive rating is going to be that high. That's just where I stand with it.
The chat saying Jaime's preseason three was widely decent. I don't believe that.
It was weirdly decent. It wasn't bad. It's just this is a different
I love what Vanderbilt said in chat. That's a lot of wishing they're just bad, and that's kind of where I go to. Where I think you can talk yourself into these scenarios, which I've done, and you start to think that they'll be better than they are. When in reality, they're probably like Bam is probably going to be worse than he was last season, given the lack of shooting. So the offensive numbers are just going to look worse because they just don't have enough shooting. They might play a little faster, but they've just lost a lot of elements, and I don't know how his jump shot's going to look, and they're just not very good. And Tyler is probably not going to have an all-star year. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Which is kind of where we always get to, where this should have been more of a project year than try to like compete for the play-in year, but that's what they're going to try to do. And you're just kind of there, you know what I mean, Lou? And where offensively, yeah, they're going to try to play faster. I think they're going to try to make Bam more of a playmaker. I think that they're going to use Powell in a lot of those situations like we talked about during the preseason. You saw him kind of in a Duncan Robinson role. Frankie did a great little piece on him, one of our post-game shows where, you know, Powell's coming off of, as you said, double drag, have him doing some curls, some DHOs, and put him in the Duncan role where he's such a much better downhill threat, and he's a pretty decent passer, probably about Duncan's level as a passer. Maybe a little worse than Duncan as a passer. He got pretty good at that. And a really good shooter. You have kind of all those elements put together, but it's a lot of wishing. It's a lot of wishing, and at the end of the day, like, they don't have enough shooting, they don't have talent, and you're just kind of hodgepodging, you know, lineups where, you know, you're wishing. You're wishing a guy like Jaquez, who I liked, by the way, in the preseason. I thought Jaquez gave him some good stuff. I thought Jaquez kind of having another guy who can dribble the ball, make passing decision make is really positive.
He's going to help with their pace too.
But he's just such a poor finisher and shooter that all those good things that he gives you, it comes with so many bad things. It's kind of like Rozier, where I think Rozier, can actually make a play. Rozier is a tough shot maker, can kind of make a move and make something out of nothing in a possession. But he also turns the ball over a lot, makes a lot of stupid decisions, an awful defender. It's going to you're just going to give up so much on the other end. Like, bad shooter, bad finisher. You know what I mean? Like, you just lose stuff there too. And everybody on this team is like, you get something, but you lose a lot, and that's kind of like the issue.
That's the issue with the roster.
That's like you trust Jaime's decision making with the ball, bro. Exactly. Like, not really.
But considering what we have on the team, like, I guess.
Chat's like, why are you potty? I'm aware there's a game tonight. We have to get the fucking preview in. Okay, man. I took vacation. My friends were over visiting over the weekend. If you live in South Florida, if you live in South Florida, this weekend was beautiful. It was great. Were you outside on Saturday?
No, G.
One of them ones.
It was a beautiful day.
One of them ones.
We didn't pod on Monday because there was baseball going on, guys. Let's be honest here.
I didn't even know there was baseball going on. My friends were here, and that's why we didn't pod.
Boo.
The Marlins aren't even playing.
No, but it was a great game. Game 7, G. Game 7s are always great games.
Game 7 of what?
The American League Champion League Series. Champion Series.
Who played in it?
Seattle versus the Blue Jays, man. Great game.
I didn't even know that. Did the
great
Blue
game.
Jays win?
Yeah, Blue Jays won.
Okay.
Shout out Toronto.
I just hope that the Dodgers lose and Shohei Ohtani's going to hell.
Jesus. For a guy who doesn't watch baseball, he's got a lot of takes on baseball.
Fuck the Dodgers, bro.
But
I feel like we can all get behind that.
Hey,
fuck Los Angeles as a sports city, to be honest with you.
I'm just rooting for Toronto, guys.
They're the most annoying people on earth. I fucking hate LA fans.
That's not true. Knicks fans exist.
You're right. But as a whole though, like LA sports, like Knicks fans are the worst, but like LA sports, I don't know. Yankee fans aren't as annoying. Giants fans aren't as
Anyways, let's continue.
Nah, the
because
Dodgers
that's a crazy.
The Dodgers are worse. And the Dodgers are doing what the Yankees were doing in the 90s.
Ooh, no, man. I don't know.
And I'm on to Shohei and his little fake translator. I know you fucking speak English, brother. I know.
Oh my God.
Wakarimasu? I know you do.
Okay.
That's like you forgot Boston exists.
That's what I'm saying. He's not paying attention.
That's up there.
But getting back onto the show, G.
Back on track. Sorry, I had to hate on the Dodgers.
I had to hate on the Dodgers.
And baseball. Fake sport.
37.5 wins. That's what Vegas has us at. Don't read that last comment that just came in 32. But 37.5 wins. That's what Vegas has us at. We're actually minus 120. We're favored to win that many games. What do you think?
I say over.
You say over. Last year went 37 and 45.
I've been asked this by a few people that were doing preview pods, and I just said that I just think they'll hover around 500 because I think that they'll just like really try to win, and I think the East is bad. Okay. I think that they're just going to try more aggressively than the other teams.
Fair enough. So according to BetMGM, we are tied for 10th in the East with the Pacers at 37.5 wins. The only teams behind us, which would be 12, 13, 14, 15, is the Bulls, Raptors, Wizards, and the Hornets, and the Nets. So that's 5 teams. Sorry.
Okay. Who's ahead of them?
1 second. I didn't have that up. I do apologize.
So
ahead of us.
Indiana,
sorry,
Boston.
the Raptors are 39.5. The Raptors are ahead of us. So it's Pacers and us tied, and then the Bulls 33.5, Charlotte 27.5, Wizards 20.5, and the Nets 19.5.
I just think they'll get to 40.
So that leads to the next question, G. Are we a playing team?
I had them as a playing team in our preview. Alf did not.
What did he have us?
In the lottery.
Let's fucking go, Alf. What a dog.
I want them to be in the lottery, but I just think that
that's what we need.
I think those other teams are pretty disinterested in winning games. And I think the Heat, by virtue of being interested in winning the games, they will put their hand in the couch and find the quarter that they're looking for.
Yep. Yeah. I hope we don't make the play-in. I'll just leave it at
Me too, but
like if they're gonna be good, might as well be good. like
Shout out
good.
to Frankie with the fucking raid on the pod.
Ooh-wee.
Shout out to raid. Shout out to Frankie's audience is coming in. I think that's the first time somebody's ever rated us. That's not
And
true.
it
This is the
has to be
second
the
time.
GOAT.
But it is the GOAT.
It is the GOAT, Frankie. But yeah,
Um,
so I don't know. I think 37.5. I'm going to take the under. I think we're going to win like 34 games.
I hope so, but I just think that by virtue of them trying.
Tank for 2026.
Frankie's like playing. We're talking playing. We're doing over-unders, man. We're doing over-unders.
Frankie, we're talking about the Heat. We can't mention the Heat without the point.
Yeah,
Like,
this is who they are,
What are we
man.
doing here?
Who the fuck do you
This
think they are, bro?
This is a preview pod. What do you want us to talk about?
Who
The
wanted
fucking
to
home
do-
seed? The Heat can't sniff a home seed.
Somebody asked earlier, when's draft? Yeah. How many games until Tankathon segment comes back?
Over under 8.5. I'm calling it early. Don't let Frankie.
The first 4-game losing
Moose.
streak, it's coming out. It's
Don't
coming
let
out
me
the
myself and Moose, me myself, Frankie. Anyways,
It's coming.
host the
it's coming.
game.
First 4
it's
games.
coming game one. If as soon as we lose, at the end of hot, that's what we're gonna do.
Frankie said that this is a reference to the coach saying playoffs. Well,
Who said playoffs?
I don't know. We're better at jobs today. What other over unders you got for me?
Oh, I had last year we had because I think this is generally what I'm interested in seeing going forward is how many minutes or possessions where Nico and Bam are going to play together. Last year they played 64 possessions. I'm just asking a simple question: are they going to get to 150 possessions?
They're going to 150. They're going to get to 150.
I would feel so much better about that if they had a third big, but yeah,
I think
honestly,
they'll get there.
I think that would be a great sign for the team if they're able to get him, those 3 guys into 150. And I guess the last question, G, is rank these guys in order of minutes played. Terry Rozier, Drew Smith, and Kasper Siakachonis.
Drew Smith, number 1. Terry Rozier, number 2. Kasper's number 3.
And that's the problem, guys. There you go.
Do you agree with me?
I don't.
What do you
I think Kaz is going to play more than Terry.
I hope so. I just think that the Heat are going to try to force.
He showed this preseason so much more than
he's not going to play till
whatever Terry showed off
minimum
of last
December.
season.
You know how these people operate.
I hope not, man.
You
I know you're probably right.
You know how they operate. This is not. You know how they work.
Last year they played where early.
Yeah, but then they stopped.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I just hope that they
Rozier getting more minutes and Cass is gonna trigger another Jan 6. I could say a center.
I think it's a center.
I saw the D Wade statue for the first time this weekend.
Was it horrible?
You know, it's funny. It's pretty fucked up because the details are pretty cool. He's on the scores table, and if you look on the scores table, there's like a monitor, whatever the monitors of the people like working. And if you look behind the monitor, it has a quote, my belief is stronger than your doubt. I was like, that's a great detail. It has like a lot of little, and it has like all his accolades on the back and everything. And the details are great. It's just his face. And the fact that he's in Li Ning's when that shoe did not exist when he hit that. He was in Jordan's that year. I remember I was there. I believe Frankie froze or Lou froze. Well, we lost Lou. I really hope that Terry Rozier doesn't play as many minutes as I think he will, but I do think that they're just going to kind of try to salvage some of that.
Yeah. I hope you're wrong. I just hope that's not the way it works.
I think you have another one for me.
And the last one is who's going to play more, Pell or Jaime?
Pell. I think Pell Larson.
I think
he's better.
Jaime.
I think he played more last season. Am I right?
I feel like
Pell.
That's
Pell
not
Larson.
That's not an outlandish take, and I don't think
I
it's
feel like Pell
because-
Larson played more last season, and I think that he's better than I think he's just better than Jaime.
So I think Jaime is going to play more. That's just
why do you think that?
The preseason just told me like I feel like they're just going to entrust him a lot more and just give him like reign to do whatever he wants offensively. I hope I'm wrong, but that's just kind of where my head has been at with how much usage they were giving him in general. So
Okay, so I'm looking right now at the total minutes for Miami Heat players last season, obviously. So Jaime Jaquez did have more minutes than Pell Larson.
yeah,
Jaquez played 570 minutes and Pell Larson played 251 minutes.
yeah,
Davion
I think
Mitchell played more minutes than Pell Larson.
I think that's going to be closer than what it is there, but I don't think it's going to be that far off.
I'm sorry, I did not read that correctly. I was reading points. Jaime Jaquez had 1,368 minutes, and Pell Larson had 782 minutes.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be closer. That's almost like a 55-45 split. Or I mean a 65-35 split. So I think
Pell
it's going
will
to
get
be
there.
I hope so. But the 3-pointer needs to
Chat says Pell.
He does actually. He actually does speak better Spanish, by the way.
Chat says I bet Pell speaks better Spanish than Jaime. Low bar.
Very low bar.
Norman Powell might speak better Spanish than Jaime.
Eric Spoelstra speaks better Spanish than Jaime.
I actually don't believe that.
Come on, G. He's been here too long.
Ethan, can you
Confirm?
Can you was Nikki Spo Hispanic or was she American?
Sounds Italian.
I don't know. Well, somebody get on that. Nikki Spo. We'll see. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at for that.
Yep. And more importantly, G, isn't this the last question now? Are they going to win tomorrow?
No. Orlando's good on the road. Orlando's not the team that you want to open your season against. I think they're big, mean, physical. Is Desmond Bain going to play?
Yes.
Okay, that's bad for them.
I think. So out of every single home opener, or out of every single game, the only game that has a bigger discrepancy for Vegas is the Clippers versus the Jazz in terms of spread.
No way.
That just tells you how bad the Miami Heat are. And that game, the Clippers are like the road team.
That's pretty insane.
We have the same spread than the Bucks do versus the Wizards. Guys, let that shit sink in. This team sucks. We don't need to go over anything else. I don't think they're going to cover either. I think they're going to lose by like 14. Hey,
nowhere on Nikki Spo's website does it say where she's from, but it does say she's an award-winning educator, entrepreneur, philanthropist, a single mom of 3, and a dog mom, a former teacher of the year, and she has a podcast. She's passionate about the arts and giving back to the community and physical, emotional, and spiritual wellness. Nikki and her family live in Coral Gables, Florida. Why would you put that on your website, Nikki?
She just wants to give back to the community.
She really wants to give back to the community. Her website has this big becoming her stuff. So good for Nikki Spo. Could not find out where she's from if she is Latina, but stay tuned for that information that you can only find here.
Yeah, on the next episode
of Miami Heat Beat. Guys, remember Hangover Time is coming back for one night only. One night only. Hangover Time comes back. Alf in the hosting chair. Brass Jazz producing. That's what you want. We're raising money for breast cancer. Alf's wife is a breast cancer survivor. She's able to come home to her family, and they want to help other people like her get home to their family. So make sure you tune in here on twitch.tv/Miami Heat Beat or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Miami Heat Beat on October 27th, tomorrow, for the season opener against the Magic. I cannot think of a more special way to start season 13 of Miami Heat Beat than Hangover Time, the best thing we've ever done, returning for a great cause. So come in, get some fundraisers. We're going to have some guests. We're going to have your favorite old segments. We're going to have all the hijinks that you love. I really believe that there's nothing like Hangover Time ever in the history of sports coverage, and it's coming back for one night. So don't miss it. Watch the VOD on YouTube. Make sure you donate. The link is on our Twitter page. Check us out at MIA Heat Beat on Twitter. And of course, we will have the link, the donation link, posted all over Hangover Time tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. We went a little long today, but preview pod, it is what it is. Thank you, Lou, for joining. Welcome back.
I never left, baby.
Cheers
never
to
left.
13, folks. Cheers to 13, and we'll see you tomorrow for hangover time following the game. Miami Heat versus Orlando Magic.
Deuces.